Hello everybody, this is Michael Does Life. Today we're going to look at some of the best, the worst N64 games around. So I've got a few games here. Let's just start off and let's just talk about some of these games. The first game that I have for the N64 and the first game that I remember playing for the N64 is South Park by Acclaim. Now this game isn't that good, so I wouldn't suggest playing it if you haven't played it. It's also on the PlayStation 1 and I believe that's about it. But here's the cover. All you do is go around, it's a first-person game, and you kill turkeys with snowballs, with other guns, stuff like that. It's not that interesting. The plot isn't that great. It's nice to see all the characters and all that, but I wouldn't recommend it. The next game that I'm going to show you is Scooby-Doo for the N64. This game isn't that good as well. It's got a lot of problems. The controls are awful. They're worse than anything that I've ever played in a long time. If you don't believe me, go look up YouTube videos to see the players getting frustrated with the controls, because every time you go into a new room, this game is like Resident Evil where the camera changes, the controls change with every camera change. So it's not like Resident Evil where it's, you know, easy to figure out. This game is just complicated. It's a mess. There's no dialogue for the characters except like one little "Zoinks!" or you know, stuff like that. But it's not that good. I wouldn't recommend it. There are an array of other Scooby-Doo games out there that are better than this one. The next game that I have is actually surprisingly good. It's WCW NWO Revenge. This one is fantastic. You can pretty much customize any wrestler that you would like. The moves are great. The gameplay is fluid. It's fantastic. It's better than what's out there now, even in 2012. Yes, that's right. WCW NWO Revenge. It's got a championship mode. It's just an overall great wrestling game. Even if you're not a fan, or even if you weren't a fan of WCW back in the day. The next game we have is the second wrestling game that I have, and it's WCW NWO World Tour. Now this is like Revenge, but it's a little less before WCW actually got cool in real life. So this is pretty much before the really big angles for the NWO and all of that stuff. Obviously, Hollywood Hogan is on the front. The Giant is on the front as well. It's a nice game. But in WCW NWO, Revenge is a lot better. The next game is also a wrestling game, WWF Attitude. Now I have this on the PlayStation 1, and I also have this on the Dreamcast for whatever reason. But the N64 version is probably the second best looking version aside from the Dreamcast version. The Dreamcast is probably the best looking version of all three. But WWF Attitude, I would not recommend this game. The gameplay is terrible. It's like Mortal Kombat, but it's not good. When I mean Mortal Kombat, I mean when you want to do a, let's say if you're the Undertaker, you want to do a tombstone, you have to press like 500 buttons just to do the tombstone. And the gameplay is robotic. Everything about it is not really good at all. So that's WWF Attitude. WrestleMania 2000. Now this is like WCW Revenge. This is like the other games that I've mentioned, except Attitude. So this game is just like that. You can customize all of your wrestlers. You can do pretty much everything you want to do. It's got a nice story mode actually this time around. It's pretty much the ultimate wrestling game along with No Mercy. So I would recommend WrestleMania 2000. The next game that I have is another sports game, NFL Quarterback Club 1998. Now this is a terrible game. Acclaim made this, Acclaim Sports, and anything Acclaim makes, anything Acclaim touches, I would stay far away from. This game is, the gameplay is horrible, the presentation is horrible. But I guess for 1998 it wasn't that bad. I don't know. I didn't really care about football games back then, not that I do now. So this is NFL Quarterback Club. Wouldn't recommend it. It's boring. It's tedious. The gameplay isn't that good. The only thing good about this game is that you can actually tackle the refs. So if you don't even care what's going on in the game and you're on the defense, you just want to run around and find a ref and just hit the B button or whatever button it was, you can tackle the refs. The next game that I have is actually a pretty decent game. It's called the San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. Now this game is very intense. Not as intense as the Burnout games, obviously, but you know, this is back in 1988, 97, 99, whatever it came out. This is one of the best racing games for the N64, and I believe there's other platforms available for it as well. They did come out with a sequel, Rush 2049. That game is fantastic as well. This is a arcade racing game, and it's intense. It's crazy. It's a must play if you have an N64, pretty much. NBA Live 1999. Now, I played this game, man. Not that good. But hey, for basketball back in 1999, I think the PlayStation, whatever the PlayStation brand was doing at that time, was a lot better than NBA Live. At least from what I can remember. This game isn't that great. You can just run up and always make it pretty much. So if you just run up and do a layup every time, you'll always make it. It's not a realistic simulation, obviously. Okay, so we're on the final stretch here. Pokemon Stadium for the N64. Now this is a classic. Pokemon Stadium is pretty much a game where you take your Pokemon and you battle them against other Pokemon in a stadium. I know, it sounds crazy, right? But it's addicting. The gameplay is strategic, so you gotta know what you're doing. Like water beats fire, you know, stuff like that. So you gotta know the basic Pokemon stuff. But it's addicting. 2 players is fun as hell, and I would recommend it to anyone who has an N64 and doesn't have this game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. We all know what this game is all about, and I honestly don't remember the N64 version. I remember the PlayStation version, but not the actual PlayStation version. The only version that I remember was a demo, which was on the Pizza Hut demo disc, which I actually still have. And I remember the Superman song playing, so it's a great game. I don't know if the gameplay still holds up these days, but check it out. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Alright, so we're down to the last 3 games, and I know I haven't mentioned GoldenEye, Super Mario N64, some of the real good classics, but hey, I don't have those games, so we're down to the last 3. Wave Racer 64, obviously for the N64. This is a great wave racing game, the jet ski game. It's pretty fun. It's not the best. The controls are a little wonky. The graphics are pretty good for the time, and yeah, not much to say about this other than it's Wave Racer for the N64. Madden 1999. Now this is a lot better than NFL Quarterback Club, so if you're going to look for a classic NFL football game, then I would suggest Madden 1999 as opposed to NFL Quarterback Club 98. This game features better tackles, better gameplay. It's just overall a better football game, but hey, it's a football game, so we're not going to talk too much about it. And the last game that I do have is Toy Story 2. So, yeah. This game isn't that great. The gameplay is just, well, it's kind of hard to control, hard to navigate. You know, you jump on chairs, you jump on desks, you jump around, and it's hard to land where you want to think you're landing. This game is also available for the PlayStation, I believe, and probably some other console as well. But I do have the N64 version, and not that great. So there you have it. Those are my best and worst N64 games of all time. The only game that I didn't show that I do have is Pokemon Stadium 2, and that is pretty much better than the first Pokemon Stadium. So let me know what your favorite games are for the N64. I know I didn't show the classics like GoldenEye or Super Mario 64 and some other ones, but let me know what you think about those games or some of your favorite games down below in the comments. Until next time, see you later.